Okay, well, it's about quarter past, so I think that is plenty of time to wait for anybody who's interested. Go ahead and take one of those. So I don't know if you know the word ostinato.
Sounds familiar.
No, basically ostinato is just anything that stays stable for the entire portion of a piece.
Oh, okay. Oh,
So
okay.
maybe
I'm
that.
not good at that.
Oh, that is difficult. It lost so much focus.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so basically, we will start with some ostinato. Maybe we'll get some solos and a good flair in there. But I don't know if you've ever heard of the different names of the rhythms. Like they might call it like a dad rhythm or a mom rhythm or a baby rhythm or something like that. Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, you know, give them some personalities. Helps you remember. Let's see here. I'll start at the beginning. We can count to the number 4 or 3 for most music. You can split each count into 2 by adding the word "and" between the numbers. You'll decide on a tempo, and you're going to want to stick to it. You'll concentrate on an even spacing in the count. So if you say to yourself, we can do it together, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. The tendency, at least I think for a lot of people, is to speed up. You anticipate the beat and you try and you just go a little bit early. And what's crazy is I think that milliseconds, like 15 milliseconds, like, you know, about 15 milliseconds, I don't know if you have a context for how quick that is, but it might be the difference between
Those two hitting.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 15 milliseconds, but
It's
just
perceptible, but
it's, you know, you would not know that you're off beat, but after, let's say you do that 10 times,
right.
all of a sudden you're,
right.
and now it starts to sound like you're not on beat based on the internal clock that a person has. So when people want to dance, they are usually hearing something that's just so solid that they can anticipate it, it's never rushing, it might be a little laid back, and that makes them want to swing. Yeah, exactly. But the idea is that you want that beat to just be so easy to follow. Mm-hmm. So it needs to be evenly spaced, and that's the whole idea. Do you ever play with a metronome?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so yeah, there you go. That would be what you want to practice to, so that if you are going to rush, it's going to be controlled, and you'll know what you're doing there. A lot of rock and roll music, you're clapping on the 2 and the 4. You know that, right? Mm-hmm. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then you'll fill that up with whatever the music is asking for. If you are playing in 3, you could either be dividing your 4, each beat into 3. So it'd be like 1 and 2 and 3 and, or you are actually counting to 3 and starting over. So it'd be like 2, 3.
Like that?
Right. So that would be like a kind of like a, yeah, exactly. So well, in this version, I think this is actually more like a waltz, where it's 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Tends to just have kind of an internal drive. It just for some reason has a rolling feel to it that it's just easy to get lost in. Whereas that 1, 2, 3, 4 seems like it can get a little
landing.
It seems like it can get a bit too repetitive because it contains repetition in itself. So I don't know. We could debate about that, but that 3 rhythm for some reason just seems very easy to just roll with and just flow with. That whole waltz thing, yeah, with dancing and everything.
There's Jan Arden. Do you know Jan Arden?
I do.
Has this drum beat that makes me think of rolling.
Okay.
And then there's this. I wonder if this is the 1, 2, 3. I'm curious now.
No.
Not strictly 1, 2, 3.
This sounds like a 4 to me, but
Very
it's
rolling though.
it's that yeah. So that's just divided past the and into the E and the so 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and they're using a lot of those divisions to give it that roll, that da 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 da.
Cool. Yeah, just that in my head's always been rolling.
Yeah,
Rolling drum.
some bongos or something like that. I think that's what I was hearing. Yeah. So basically, most of the time you can divide something into 4 or 3. If you accept 4, then you could just say it's 2. If you're doing 2 twice, however you want to look at it.
Yep.
This is just a way to talk about it, you know, it's trying to explain the phenomenon, but the phenomenon is what it is, you know, so, exactly. We can start, a lot of my students use the cha-cha whenever they're all getting a little off track, you know, you use the cha-cha. Everybody claps it back to you, right? So we could start with that, if you don't mind. And we'll start that with 4, and we'll try to count as we do it. So since you've got a nice dark instrument, I will play maybe something a little bit brighter. My tambourine is pretty bright, so... Actually, since you got a shake, I'll take a hit.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Okay, so we can play, let's say we'll decide on our tempo, right? So if you want to set it, you can set the tempo. So now can you count while you're playing? So I might count it 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2, 2, 3, and 3, 3, and 4, 4, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and 4. 'Good idea to stop on one. It feels right. Awesome. Great. You already got it. Adding the increment on the first beat is just a way to help you keep in track with the music. Usually you can feel it, but sometimes if you have a really elongated, like 8 bars, 16 bars, sometimes you get a little lost in it. I was actually just playing a gig. What's up, Bill?
How's it going?
Just playing a gig last night, and it has a 16-bar verse, and then it switches to a new section where everybody needs to be together on that switch, and you get a little lost in it sometimes if you don't have something, you know, triggering you like every 2 bars, every 4 bars, or something like that. Yeah, so that would be something to add in just to keep you more oriented within the music and the structure of the music. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. If we wanted to count to 3, you can try that one out. It would be, we just cut out one of the quarter notes that takes up the whole beat. So instead of clap, 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 we'll just clap, 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 clap. Or So we can try that one. Your tempo was about what?
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3. 4, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna put mine on. It's not gonna be as nice as this one, but it'll be good enough.
Cool. That's just gonna take a day to do.
Hopefully.
1, 2, and 3. 2, 2, and 3. 3, 2, and 3. 4, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 2, 2, and 3. 3, 2, and 3. 4, 2, and 3. 1, 2, and 3. 3, 2, and 3. 4, 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 2, and 3. 3, 2 3, 2, 2,
Yeah, I like full bodies too. Makes it kind of weird.
Good. All right. So those would be ways to just get you oriented and dividing the beat. You could take it as far as you wanted to go. You could add, as I was saying, the e's and the uhs. So it could be if our tempo was 1, 2, and 3, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4, 1 and the 2 and the 3 and the 4.
See if I can get that. Wow, that's
It's a tongue twister.
one and a 2 and a 3 and a 4.
And you know what? I switched over to the 4,
Oh,
by
okay.
the way, so that was my bad. It's
Okay, oh, right,
not entirely continuous there.
right.
Okay, let's try the 3. It's definitely a challenge. 1 and a 2 and a 3, 2 and a 3, yeah, and so that would be the ultimate goal, is to have that playing in the back of your head all the time, because then you're already activating your brain that many times every beat, so you don't have to remind yourself, like, oh, I want to play just before the beat. You're already there. Your brain is already thinking about it, so you don't have to. It's internal already. So if you wanted to.
Did you read anything funny? And like, there's something wrong? Oh my god. Yeah. And then just like.
You would do this as you're playing in a band situation? You would be...
Not consciously.
Okay.
You would get to the point where you practice so much that it's internal. You know? So whenever you're playing, whenever you're playing, you can feel that and you know you're not on the right? You're not on the e. It's definitely on the and.
I wonder if that happens without practicing it that way. Because I feel like you kind of...
Are you flirting?
You could definitely feel it, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, but the idea is that the more that you can consciously divide it while you're practicing, the more that it's just always there. And it's a passive skill, if you will. So, yeah, that would be a good way to practice if you're practicing with your metronome. Just keep that. You could even, there's a different system of words that we'll talk about. Maybe in a minute. We'll just finish out the top of this. But yeah, the more you can divide it, the better. Just because you'll be more accurate instead of like, imagine playing a very slow tempo, like 1, 2, 3, 4. It's very hard.
lose yourself in this.
Very easily go too fast or go too slow. So if you divide it, 1 E and 2.
I'm the youngest. Are you
So you have more chances to keep yourself on track.
Right,
The more you're dividing.
right, right. What, can I ask you, what's your goals with doing this in community? Is it just for sharing? Is it for, like, are you hoping to veer into teaching more?
Well, I do private lessons.
Okay.
I have not, but they are, I don't know, I guess maybe a little too structured.
Okay.
So I like interacting with strangers and like getting there. It's I find that you can't teach anybody anything until they have a question. So if you come and have you have a purpose for gathering, everybody's already got questions. So it's so easy to help because they're there and they're curious already, you know. Being in the school, you know, there's a lot of times where they're not very curious. They're like, I don't want to know about all of these things. So how can you teach them, you know? So it's just a more rewarding experience, I guess, whenever you're teaching and people genuinely want to know.
For enjoyment mostly, then.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if people would like to take special time with me, you know, and like actually want to arrange that, then that's even better. But it's fun anyhow. It's a good way to spend a Saturday afternoon. So let's see here. Are you familiar with the actual notation? The quarter notes, eighth notes?
Something in me it feels hard for some reason. But yes, I'm familiar.
Familiar with it. Okay. So it's really, yeah, I mean, it's just like whenever you learn how to write words, same thing, you know. So if you wanted to communicate this stuff to a total stranger, that's the medium that helps you to do it.
I train in Suzuki method, where we do learn sight reading, but and I've heard Suzuki is very much criticized for not being great for sight reading for people because it's more like ear.
Okay. I'm not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I guess it can be
See, when the
if
zombie
you do it right.
apocalypse
I was always
I'm gonna be the
more
one
like
selling
feeling
iron
ears.
Okay.
And
and I'm
yeah,
gonna
if you
figure out
find
how to
it.
iron without an iron.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is that it's definitely not a necessity, but it does open up more opportunity for you to be able to just go to the music store, pick up some book, and just, you never heard it before, and you can just play it, you know. Now, my sight reading is not that great either. I'm pretty good at sight reading rhythms, but tones, I think my eyes are kind of bad. So like seeing like the tiny spacings, like, maybe if they blew it up, I'd be a little bit better. But yeah, there's so many variables to like be even good at sight reading. Like, you have to be very comfortable with your instrument. You really have to practice sight reading on the instrument. You can't just practice sight reading without the instrument. It's kind of hard. These are some. I was hoping to have maybe more layers, but we can put it together with the two of us. I have some rhythms here, and hopefully you get the idea with the boxes and the grids that I have here. The quarter note takes up 2 boxes, so it takes up the one and the and, takes up the whole beat. And my eighth notes are going to take up just 1 box, so it's half of a beat. So if you wanted to play on the ands, you'd probably want to use these eighth notes and rests just to make it explicit that you're on the off beat. So you might have like 1 and
Why do you think I'm here? Certainly not to spend time with you.
and if I can pull the human tricks here, we might do.
Christopher has told me to steal the sewing machine from Liminal. Outright. Those are their
1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and better if I could get maybe a couple more sounds, you know, so I could have, or maybe I'll just take 1 out. So I'll 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Do some cha-cha. So let me see. So my foot's playing maybe the top line here, and then I've got the triangle on the off beats. So 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 2
But strictly this would just be, instead of it would just be top.
I'm just making fun of Tony with all my
Right, yeah. And I could write it as an eighth note, and yeah, one of these eighth notes. I could write it as an eighth note and put a rest in there. It's just, you know, what would be easier, what would make more sense to read and so on. Fewer symbols the better. So maybe you'd like to try playing this 2 and 4. I'm sure you can handle that. So I'll be 1 and 3
Are you plugging? Send the address to this place? I just said the address of the city, see if you get your report for it. And just fill out back, is that where you're at? I'm trying to figure out a really sarcastic reply.
I'm going to divide my triangle. I'm going to squeeze an extra one in there.
That's looking stupid.
Totally got plenty from that 2 years of playing, I'm sure. Yeah, very good internal rhythm, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's great, you know. Certainly with the kids, it's easy to throw them off because they don't have that internal rhythm.
Right, yeah.
So something goes a little off beat or something drops out, they're used to following it like, well, something came right before me and I play after it. Yeah, so everything's a little too relative for them, with no definite internal rhythm. So that's great. You definitely developed that for yourself.
Yeah, I've been musical my whole life, so I definitely have that.
So cool. Very cool, very cool. Well, great. So that's the basic idea. We could talk about also, there is in flamenco, you can use tunes, tumti, tumpiti, tumpidicti, and rumpity-tumpity. So you might use that maybe, you could use that in place of something like this. If I was to maybe turn this into flamenco talk, it would be tune, 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 tune. Yeah, or the ta-tas and stuff like that. For sure. Yeah, something like rumpity-tumpity that can really help you whenever you're trying to divide really hardcore. So, maybe you have,
We and ta-ta, talk. Tika, no.
takata, I think. I'm not sure. I actually didn't do any tas. I had a trumpet player friend always talk about ta-ta-ta, ta-ta-ta. So I guess that was like a toning thing for brass instruments.
I'm not sure where the other one is. But rumpity-tumpity has its own little rhythm to it.
Yeah,
That's
kind of a
titi.
So rumpity-tumpity it's 6, so it's going even past.
Okay, that's why I'm confused.
So if you have, it might just be a 3 twice, but the rumpity-tumpity helps orient you with the tongue is in the middle of the whole flourish, if you will. So if you had like maybe
Ooh, that's fun. That makes it helpful.
Right. Yeah, so to progressively go through the divisions. Let me try and do it a little cleaner. Hold on. 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, I keep forgetting 2.
It's fun to watch, Silas, since you've been so blue.
That would be a cool class to have. Is just like going through different ones, singing it. No,
Oh, yeah.
no instrument, just like getting it in your head, you know?
Yeah, have you ever heard of, I think it's called conical? It's a whole like a whole syllable language made for rhythm. It's like an Indian thing.
Oh, cool.
And
oh, okay.
if you've ever seen,
Like the tablas and stuff, I've heard their language that they use with that. Yeah.
I can't find anything on it. I've been looking, and
okay.
people will be like talking about how it's like an ancient thing, and like they've been doing it as part of their culture, but they won't actually teach you how to do it. And I'm like, because I can't find a pattern. They'll use like ta, ka, these different words, and I don't know what they mean because they use them specifically.
Right.
I can't figure it
You
out.
have to almost translate it, like listen to the whole context of it and try and translate what it might be.
Yeah, and it'd probably take me a while.
Yeah. You have to like notate it, especially like translating that script.
Yeah, like whenever you try and learn somebody's solo or something, like rewind.
Yeah.
What was that?
What's her name? She does tablet, like really sort of.
I think birthdays are selfish.
Oh gosh.
I think being selfish is fun.
She uses a lot of that language in her music. It's like a
I
little
think
more
birthdays should be celebrated.
electronic with
Celebrating by
tabla.
celebrating.
Just kind of
Birthdays should be celebrated
cool,
by
progressive
celebrating the people who
tabla.
have made
Okay.
you who you are.
So is she? Sorry, are you done?
No, I was just trying to remember her name, but yes, that was my thought.
Is she native to like Indian culture, or does she just like start?
I don't know too much about her background. I just know.
You're just a baby. You didn't start.
Like on the tip of my tongue, you know. I think it starts with an S, but it's cool because she uses that language in as like part of the song.
Okay. The extra add-on is that the conical people, they use their voice while they're like keeping the beat with their hands, and there are actual drum set drummers that will play the drums and orchestrate all the ta, ka, tu, das, and all that. They orchestrate it on all their drums. And it's very impressive. Definitely something to look up. Conical.
Wonderful. I want to say. No, that's just gonna drive me crazy, right? Just texted me at the moment. I was trying to remember her name.
Nice.
Oh, I got a whole thing with that. I'm just at a rhythm jam right now. I definitely will come by right after, but what is the name of that woman, Ginger? The tabla artist that was sort of electronic? Okay. Yes, like you.
I thought he was going to join in.
How's it going?
Yeah,
Pretty good. We're having a nice little jam here.
I've been hearing.
You want to join in?
Sure.
I have a camera. I don't know if you want to be on the camera. You can
Don't worry,
sit on
I'm
that.
completely fine about it.
Supala. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Okay, I'll see you in a minute. Okay, then. Supala.
Sufala. That's the artist name.
Yeah, I was so there. I was so almost there.
I'll write that down.
Different sounds. Rhythm and ostinato.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, yeah.
She uses it as like the bass rhythm and beautiful music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Indian music is highly subdivided.
Well, yeah, it's so intricate. I can imagine it have to be, right?
So if you're interested in Indian music, we might try Galloping Apples.
Galloping apples.
Yeah.
What's that?
Galloping Apples is a way for you to put your twos and your threes together so that you can play in something other than 2 or 3. And you're adding them all together. So you might, let's say you were going to play in a rhythm that has 7 beats.
Okay.
So you might say apple, apple, galloping, apple, apple, galloping, apple, apple, galloping. So your accents, apple, apple, galloping, apple, apple, galloping, apple, apple, galloping.
Yeah.
And then to get fluent to where you can feel those divisions and you're like, oh, it's in 11, oh, it's in 13, or
Oh, I
whatever.
want to
you
do
know.
that. I really want to.
Yeah.
It's really easy to grasp. From experience of playing wind instruments for like 9 years of my life, it's easy to grasp. It's hard to perfect.
Yeah.
Like
Galloping apples, are we talking? Or?
Yeah, in general, like rhythms, it's really easy to understand things once you have like the basic. It's like vocabulary. Once you have a language's alphabet down, vocabulary is kind of easy to understand. Putting it into sentences, however,
Right.
is what makes it hard.
Right. And also, like, for me, I'm kind of like sitting here trying to go, okay, how do I equate all these things? Like, when do I use this one? And how do they overlap? How do they intersect, you know?
When to use like a particular instrument or a
No,
particular
the
rhythm?
language, like the Galloping Apples versus the
Oh,
rumble.
well,
the-
yeah, I mean,
rumble
Depends on the
shuffle.
music.
Yeah.
What works for you and what works for the music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Like-
You just almost have to have like an internal knowing of it, though, right? It's
Yeah.
almost like you have to feel it and go, oh, this feels more like, rather than more of like the linear, oh, this is better for 4/4, or this is better for, I don't know.
Yeah, completely.
But you can do it though like that, right? Like you could break it down and go, oh, Galloping Apples is good for,
Well, it's. I guess you could just say it's a paradigm. It's just a way of analyzing and understanding.
so you could use any of those for any
You could
rhythm,
use the tunes. You could use the tune
for
theme.
any time signature.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
In more advanced music, there's this thing called polyrhythms, which is like where you take one bass rhythm and then you put it over something that doesn't fit into that time signature at all.
Uh-huh.
And you play it over each
I
other.
think I love those.
And it's so chaotic
Yeah.
and offbeat that it becomes really, really good.
Your basic polyrhythm would be maybe like
3/5?
3 over a 2.
Oh, yes.
So
Wait,
like
you've been sitting over there this whole time not doing anything?
you might have like let's say, let me see if I can get this. It'd be like your 2. And so your 3 feels like it's too slow because it's putting that 3 over both of these 2s, these 2 beats. So it might be like, let me see. Need to get something that doesn't move so much.
So are we doing, we're just
Well,
doing 4/4
maybe
at the bottom?
maybe you can.
I can try and help, but
Yeah.
no guarantees.
So if you just play the 2, I'll play the 3 over it. very slow
Yeah.
on top of the whole thing.
But
Yeah.
it comes around and it gives you that nice, like, ooh,
Sort of
and then it
flow.
comes,
Yeah. Polyrhythms are super hard because they're really hard from an analytical standpoint. But if you've played it as like a sort of like, oh, I've been feeling it since I was a child, so easy. That's why jazz musicians are amazing at it because they usually play from like very young and feeling. But I was trained classically. So looking at this from an analytical standpoint of like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and it's like messing me up because I know what it's supposed to sound like. And then my mind is like clashing with like the right and left side of it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's I might be able to do it between hands. Hold on. So it'd be like
There you go. Yeah.
so they come together, and that's what's pleasing about it. But the intricate, the complexity in between those coming togetherness is like, that's the spice, that's the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, polyrhythms, good adding. Let me see. So I think the next thing that I was planning for is we could just kind of just have a freeform jam and just start with an ostinato. If somebody wants to take the responsibility, I can take the responsibility. And you
I
all,
can challenge myself on that because I think that's good for me
Yeah, go for it.
because I'm not good at that.
Yeah.
I tend not to want to do it.
and it does not have to be a simple ostinato. It can be as complex as you want to make it, as long as it stays the same.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, challenging. Okay, let's see. What's the fun one?
Yes. It's super simple and easy. It's a lot of fun.
Another thing that I have brought is I'm a big fan of having different tones, like you were looking at between these two, different tones of cowbells. I just think it's hilarious. Very nice, very nice.
Awesome. Yeah. You know, I realize also, I think one of the dance helps me with my internal rhythm. Yeah, because then you can kind of like accept that other, you know, you can kind of just like in your body feel that other one that feels a little bit off. All of a sudden there's like a change, and then you can kind of keep your, you know what I mean?
It's very much like if you were to just sway back and forth, you know, it's even if you're a little late or a little early, you're keeping the basic sway together, and that just keeps you oriented.
Right, but then if that like kind of swing, that you did a polyrhythm there, didn't you?
I'm not sure what I was doing.
It was cool, I liked it, but it like made me.
Yeah, it was kind of there. I was emphasizing your off beats. Beats that you went lower on, I tried to emphasize the ones that you left off on, to sort of give more emphasis on it. Because I noticed a lot of people like off beats as opposed to like on floor beats.
I guess it depends. There's I think DJs do like house music, like the
for DJing and house music, you're usually choosing something with a really simple, easy rhythm that's just
talk about an ostinato.
it stays like that forever, and people don't usually notice it because only the other stuff on the top, like melodies, harmonies, are all moving down and upward and all around.
There's enough dynamism that they're okay not to feel like it's repetitive, too repetitive, but yeah.
And we can also talk about the context of the music, like what's it for, right? So if you're just jamming here, there's going to be some spicy rhythms, you know, like we're going to really want to be playing with it. But if you're dancing, you don't want the DJ showing off. You want the DJ to give you something to dance to, right?
But that's why if you do want to show off as a musician, you would play Latin music, because it has really interesting rhythms and really hard things to perfect. And it also forces the dancers to sort of adapt to it as well.
Speaking of a difficult Latin rhythm, anybody want to try the top line of the mambo?
Sure.
I'm used to reading music notes. What's a hit and what isn't?
Quarter note, eighth notes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Takes a second. What instrument do I want to play is the question. This one.
So, by the way, that was a failed experiment because whenever you put your phone in a glass or whatever, it kind of amplifies the sound. I was trying to make it with that, but it's too big for my phone. It's too small for my phone. But it turned out it kind of has a tone to it. Yeah.
Am I just going on this? Or am I not getting it?
Not quite. Not quite.
Just a small
I'm like,
bit.
I got
So
it.
you got up to here, and then I think you
Oh,
missed.
I was just going around and around.
Oh,
So
okay.
I'm just going over here now.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep it going because it's actually a really long phrase.
Oh, yep. Oh, yeah.
But you had it. You had it. Yeah.
This song is like that. So.
It's so hard. Yeah, this leap I'm struggling with.
Yeah, you got it. It's coming around.
Here, let me just say it for a second.
Yeah.
You had it.
Yeah.
You so had it.
Second guessing. Yeah.
Gotta breathe though.
And then if you're able to land this down, then you can do these top ones as well on top of yours.
Oh, this is one of the most fun things to hear all this together.
in me is leaping back over here because I've just separated it so much in my brain.
Yeah, and then when you do leave over correctly, you're like, was that wrong? And then you second guess.
Yeah, too much going on. Okay.
That's definitely a hard one.
Sorry, guys.
No,
I'll get it, I'll
it's
get it.
okay.
I think I just need to
It
stop
is
looking at it.
Most certainly a challenge.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, I did it again.
Here would be another fun teamwork challenge maybe, is for us to split this up between our different instruments.
I had it flowing. I can get there, and you guys can layer it. It'll work.
Okay,
It'll
yeah,
work.
yeah,
What
whatever
are
you want to do.
these down here for?
That's like an extra complementary rhythm that like specifically goes with mambo.
Mm-hmm.
But all of them, you know, can go together.
Grab a bigger guy. Okay, here we
I
go.
think
Here we go.
I think that these were made for bongos or congos.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Like, this looks like it's made for at least like 2 other drums right by each other.
Yeah, that was like I think like an open tone.
Mm-hmm. Versus, yeah, instead of hitting in the middle, you hit on the side.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For custom effect. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
So what I'm noticing, and it's not a criticism,
I'm
it
speeding
is
up.
you're speeding up, but it's because you're rushing on your eighth notes.
Okay.
So and of course it's a very challenging rhythm.
No,
So-
this is good though. This is good.
Yes. So if you spend more time just thinking about that and in the middle and making sure that it's nice and relaxed.
Now I'm thinking too much. Now I'm slowing it down. Okay.
It's kind of okay to be a little bit late.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. I'm gonna try this one right here. It's a tough one.
Trying to figure out where he is.
Yeah. I don't know where to jump in.
1, 2, and 3, and 4, and
Nope. Okay, let's start over.
Yeah.
No, that was cool though because y'all were doing the, I think y'all were getting this part with me, and it was like everything else was a little chaotic, and then whenever every
We'd
one
always
of
come
us
back
hit
together there.
on that beat, and it was just, that was that orienting
Yeah.
factor
Yeah,
of the whole
nice,
thing.
yeah.
So that was really good, that was cool.
Mhm.
What was I gonna say?
It's even harder when you're like next to someone who doesn't really know, you know, who's like a little off.
Yes.
Oh, totally,
Yeah.
yeah. I was gonna mention something, but I forgot it. Okay, so yeah, Mambo is a total challenge. Oh, Mambo is, what's so challenging about it is that there's this thing called hemiola.
Oh.
And so Mambo is full of hemiola, in where basically you take an idea, but you shift it over on the beat. So you have these two eighth notes that get shifted from the 3 and over to the and 1. And then you have these two quarter notes that get shifted from the downbeats to the upbeats. And that's what's so difficult, and that's why it's so complex sounding.
Kind of like a canon.
Yeah, very much. So, yeah, or like a, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So, that's definitely what makes it so interesting, but
Right,
difficult
right.
at the same
Yeah,
time.
because you gotta like stay in your lane. Where other people do there. Yeah.
Yeah, canons are fun for like the first minute, and then you get really irritated because it's like, I'm playing my part, do I sound off? I can't even focus.
Whenever I was in choir, my choir teacher had showed me a piece of music where every individual person got their own part in the choir. So, and he was like, it sounds weird.
Yeah, that sounds like, why would you do that?
Right? Like the ultimate round. Musicians, man, they're artists. They're just always
You gotta
trying
just
to
try new things.
try new things, man.
Keep themselves entertained.
Let me see.
Okay, let me see Bossa Nova.
Bossa. Yeah, try the bossa.
Okay, wait, so the open circle, to me, what does that do for me? I'm not doing it, I'm just doing the dark circle.
So yeah, this would be just like if you were going to fortify the beat, I guess you would say.
I can do that for you.
Yeah.
Fortify the beat for you. So I'll play the open circles here, and you play the dark circles.
Okay. So. Right.
Yes.
So it's actually
I
much
see what is happening
pretty
now.
simpler.
Yeah. I'm so used to the Mambo, that's why I'm like, what?
Okay,
It's actually straight the whole way. And 3 and 1 and 3.
Right.
So always and.
Oh, I
And
see.
my part just kind of enunciates on that.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah, so it's just.
Yeah, that's that.
Oh.
Except nothing there, so I
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
One. so I don't do that,
Right.
right, okay.
Oh, a bag. Give me a second.
Sure.
I don't know what it's called.
I can go.
It's wet right now, there's a patch that I'm thinking. It's wet right now.
That's all good.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wet right here. Can you just when it's, thank you. Okay, bye guys. Bye.
Good.
I was like,
No problem.
ready to.
No problem at all. Another one of note is this one is what you would call a polyrhythm. 3-2. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 No problem. No
I was
problem.
trying to step away and just do it from like feel.
Do you want to join in?
I can join you.
All right, come on, come on. I do have a camera there. If you don't want to be on the camera, you can just sit on that side. Yeah. So yeah, we're having. You want to just do a little freeform jam for a minute?
I can try.
Okay, yeah. Grab whatever you like. Let me see. I've been dying to try this one out. It's just a box, yeah.
The box.
You can get a couple different sounds out of it.
The one that I sold for the block. drag it. Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, let's complete this. Yeah, I can do that. Oh, yeah. Not good.
This is a good one for you.
That one.
Reminds me of York.
Yeah.
And then,
That cowbell actually is super loud.
Thanks for joining.
You're welcome. You're so welcome.
Yeah, that's fun.
Alright. Yeah, that something that was taught. I don't know if you ever learned the tumbao. This is heel, toe. I don't know if it's got a special name for it. Thumb, toe. So.
I think that's exactly what I learned on that
Yeah.
particular instrument.
Yeah,
This
that's.
is not for capoeira.
Oh, okay. Yeah, somebody taught me that about a year ago. There's actually a really nice. Have you ever heard of Foxy Kashka?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I mean.
know Annette.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
So I jammed with them a little bit, and Vincent told me about
It's like, so
Tumbao.
how would I
Showed me some
choose
videos of these people just.
Cool. Oh my gosh, I know. I just got into like a little vortex of Pandera the other day, and it's amazing like, just what you can do with it.
Oh yeah, the control.
Oh, and it's like planes you know what I mean? Like this hand is doing stuff and this hand is doing stuff. It's
Oh
like,
yeah.
and it comes together.
Yeah, I haven't even thought about what my left hand should do. It just holds it right
Yeah.
now. Like, yeah.
And then you can have like a little bit of that.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, I haven't played with this one in a minute.
Nice. There's like it's not even just like hit with it. It's not even just like. It's like you have to almost like tap it in different ways too. It's like.
Oh, yeah.
Like that.
And,
Or is
and
it
right,
that,
yeah,
or-
like the force, of, like the slaps for sure.
or the bounce gives more of like a resonance and then.
It really, I think, studying anything with like a skin to it, especially where you get those different.
Tones.
Yeah, I think it really helps you to appreciate like whenever you're listening to a guitar play, and it's like I'm not just hearing like the 6 strings, like I'm hearing all those intricacies, you know.
Yeah, the.
Yeah, and depending on like where you play a particular note, like higher up in the guitar, like you get different tones.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not okay just to play an E. You have to play like this E, because that's the one. Like you know.
Yeah. You have to have that ear for it. It's like, yeah.
You start to appreciate it for sure.
Yeah, and you can hear them do it sometimes, and it's just so expert. Yeah, I like that graduated tone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool.
Well, before we, I mean, that's pretty much what I have. Do you
Great.
want to try some galloping apples before
Yeah,
we go?
definitely.
Let's try maybe a, let's see. So a very usual version would be galloping apples. That would put you into 8. So that'd be pretty normal feeling. So it'd be like,
So 2 gallopings and an apple.
yep. So if it was like, gap, 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 gap.
Yeah, I just wanted to get back to
Yeah.
And then let's try adding an extra apple. Ready?
Okay.
I was gonna try and do it in
Yeah.
continuum, but
Yeah.
it's good.
I tried to as well, but I think I was.
Well, I think I said it, and I didn't intend to do it that time. Anyhow,
Anyway,
let's try it again.
yeah.
Yeah, we'll add an extra apple.
Yep.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. An extra apple. Very cool, very cool.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a lot of fun.
So much fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Glad you're here.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, I think that'd be fun to do like a vocal just rhythm too.
Oh yeah,
If you
yeah. Do some. I would love to learn how the conical works. But we could do the tunes and the tunkies too.
Yeah, just like sing it out, tune it out vocally, and really just get it down.
Yeah,
You get it on that level, you know?
yeah. Those divisions.
Yeah, just
For
and
sure.
just play with that and just get really, really used to that. I'd be down for that.
It would be pretty fun, yeah, especially with quite a few people where they were all sharing it. That would be really
Yeah,
cool.
totally. Yeah. Well,
Well, I'll talk to our organizers here and see if we can get another session set up.
nice. Yeah.
If you want to take these are made for you. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Cool. Perfect. And do I? Yeah.
Yeah, you can give it to yeah.
regularly, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a gig last night, actually. That was up very, very late last night.
Yeah, I heard you say that,
Yeah.
but I was like, oh, what did you play?
So we played with Dub and Down with the blues,
Oh, okay.
and I played with the Band of Your Breaks, and I also play solo
Okay.
from time to time. So yeah, I'm around.
Nice. All right, well, thanks, Eric.
Thank you so much, Steph.